Welcome to episode 210 of Missing Pieces. This is my weekly audio journal podcast where I talk about what I'm up to and what I'm into. Recording this episode on Friday, May 24th, 2024 at 2:13 p.m. Just got home from Bud and Deb's yard sale. That's right. Instead of us going out community yard sailing today, well, I actually did a little bit of that. We were hosting a yard sale, and I got over there just shortly after, like 9 o'clock. Clarkman had to get on the bus. I had some eBay orders that came through, so I was packing those up, and finally got over there, and it was an awesome time today. The weather, phenomenal. Got all my stuff set up, started making some sales, and when things kind of died down a little bit, as I was saying, Bud and I ended up going out and doing some yard sale hunting of ourselves, on ourselves, with ourselves. For ourselves, something like that. English teachers, help me out. Mrs. Architect, where are you? Ended up finding some scores, which was unlikely. Usually when I go to the yard sales up their way, I never really find anything. It's probably because we're always there early in the morning and getting setting up, and I never get out until later when all the good stuff's gone. But holy smokes, I found a little bit of everything. I found some nice things to flip. I found a couple little Lego sets that were pretty nice to find, especially darn near 12 o'clock on yard sale day. And probably the score of the day, I found two really cool things. One was a Bob Ross chia pet. You probably have seen those advertised somewhere in the past. And you can grow Bob Ross's afro, which is awesome. I'm really torn between selling that because it has good value. I got it for $1, or possibly keeping it and growing a Bob Ross chia pet, because that sounds like an opportunity if I ever seen one before. I also got like a cordless phone. I found this really cool VHS. It was Godzilla versus Chris. Are you listening? I don't know. You'll see it in the video. The video is probably already out by now because I'm pretty much caught up with editing and stuff. But I spent like $12.20. The VHSs were 10 cents each. I got two. I was just like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to get it. And that's kind of what drives me these days. I'm looking for like things that I like and enjoy, and then also things that just have opportunity. And I'm like, I got a light switch, dimmer switch that was still sealed, and I saw it sold for like $20, and I'm not really passionate about that, but I'm passionate about what I could potentially sell that for and get, which speaking of that, let's go back, since we kind of got today covered. That was all fresh in my mind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of this week, where I found some opportunities at not only the yard sales, but also the bins. Starting with the community yard sales last Saturday, we go back 6 days, rewind it, just like that Godzilla VHS. Cyclops? I don't know. He's fighting someone. It looked cool to me, so I grabbed it. Let's move on. Speaking of things that looking cool, it's a good segue. We went out yard selling last Saturday. Rainy weekend, just like they all are. Thankfully, this one's not, because this is Bud and Deb's opportunity to sell some of the stuff that they've acquired, of course. Just like me, I actually put some things in their yard sale too that weren't selling on eBay. I took the listings down, sold it for $1 at the yard sale. It's a win-win, because to me, it's like, yeah, no one else is buying it, so maybe someone here will buy it for next to nothing, and it's something, right? But last weekend, we went out on yet another community yard sale, another rainy one. It seemed like every Saturday, it just decides that it's going to rain. Fridays, we usually get away with, but Saturday, rain day. And we went to a community that usually is like house to house of just yard sales, the whole way up the block, people shopping like crazy. Well, when it rains, two things happen. People don't want to set up in the rain and have their stuff in the rain, and people don't want to shop in the rain. So there was not much stuff out there, but I did find one thing that was most likely, in assuming that in the future community yard sales we go to, which I think there's like one weekend left, I don't find something more amazing, but I found this sealed Sony Walkman, and I didn't know anything about it. I just saw Sony, I saw it was sealed, and I just thought it was cool. And again, this is sometimes the best way to drive yourself, is just like, what would you buy? What's something that you want? I mentioned before, like, I want to make it difficult for me to sell things. I want it to be like the Bob Ross Chia Pet, where you're like, now that's really cool, but I could make some money off of it, but it's really cool. And this Sony Walkman, I thought it was neat. I picked it up and I asked the guy how much he wants for it, and he said $1. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So I gave him $1, and we joked around a little bit. He said I was his first sale of the day, and we weren't even there like that early. Like, we had already been out and around for a bit. So you can kind of see just how dead it was. When I got in the car, I looked that thing up, and it was worth like $170. And when you know it, when I listed it on Sunday, it sold that night for $170. So I turned $1 into $170, which DB, who's going to be featured here in the listener feedback section of this week's episode, which is amazing. I was looking through the comments. I'm like, man, you guys came through. So stay tuned for that. He's like, hey, remember that dollar that you found when you were walking Roxy the one day on the bike path? you could say that was the dollar that you found and you used it for that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, that was a while ago, and all the money kind of just gets put together, but that's a good storyline. I want to go with that. But yeah, that was my greatest flip, finding something for $1, selling it for 170 like instantly. And I was so excited about that. That was one of those things that definitely is cool, but I didn't have $170 of value in it for me. So somebody out there, like, there must be some nostalgia to it, or there's something special about this. Just the fact that it's sealed, maybe. There it goes. Sent that out, and that was a really nice way to start my week. But it continued from there because I took that money kind of indirectly again. I went to the bins on Monday, which was $5 day. And I started looking through, and I kept finding these big red fuel bottles. They're like metal fuel bottles, not filled with fuel, but empty, and you can put fuel into them. And I looked it up while I was at the bins because I always do my research there. I consider it like, how did I talk about this before? It's like when you are gambling, like when you are, I don't know, when you play in the lottery, but you already know what the numbers are ahead of time, it makes the lottery very easy to win, right? So I ended up checking this on eBay, and I noticed that they were selling for like $30. And the guy that was selling them for $30, he had sold 140 some of them. So I was like, ooh. So I found a few, and I gathered them up, right? Like you would do. And then I found some more. And then I found some more. And when you know it, by the time I left there, I had 25 of these bottles. I had like, I think 19 of the 30-ounce ones, which are big. And then I had 6 of the 11 ounces, which are small. There was even some 20s in there, but I noticed 20s weren't doing that great. It was like the 11s or the 30s people wanted. So I brought them all home. And of course, this is all on video. I shared all this because it was like, this is crazy find there. And I took pictures of them and I put them on eBay. And when you know it, they're starting to sell. Not quickly, like they're not flying off the shelves, but I sold 3 of them so far. And I now have data to support that every time one of those sells, I make just over $18 because I'm selling them for $28.50, undercutting the guy that's selling them for $30. And he's almost out of a supply. So he had 100 and some of these that he was just banking off of for a long time. What he got them for, who knows? But I didn't want to let him sit there at the bins for $4 a day or $3 a day. I'm like, somebody's going to see the opportunity that I see. So I just snagged them all. And my whole entire cart was full of these things like rattling through the store, which was funny. But yeah, they started to sell. One of them was, the first one was sold to a viewer, which I appreciate, maybe listening to this. And then 2 more of them sold today. And every time one of those sells, I make like $18.10 after fees and after shipping, because I'm doing free shipping, minus my $5, so $13. So I have the opportunity, like on my shelf in the storage room, I still have like 20, actually I added 2 more on later in the week. So I still have like 25 of them left or 24 left. And every time one of those sells, it's like putting $13 in my pocket. That's off of like, that's just like free money, which is awesome. And it's like anytime like I get a sale on eBay, it does the like cha-ching little alert, and it's such a great feeling. So all I have to do is I just wrap them in bubble wrap. I put them in a box that's like perfectly sized for it, and it goes out. So 2 of those will go out today, along with like 3 other items. This week's been crazy on eBay. So that's going really well. And the way I see it, like I took my $1 that I found, right, indirectly. I bought an item for that, sold that for 170. Then I spent like 150 at the bins. But my estimate now is that I'm going to turn that $150 that I spent into about $400 of profit. So you could say that the free dollar that I found is eventually going to make me $400. And who knows where that's going to go? That's like the whole thing. Like with reselling, and I guess with capitalism in general, it's like once you have a little bit to start going, it's just so much easier to keep it rolling and keep going bigger and bigger. It's like that. There was a guy a long time ago that did the paperclip thing where he traded a paperclip for a house, and he just kept it's like trading up and up and up. This isn't necessarily trading, but it's more just like flipping and whatnot. And this is my hobby, and I have fun with it. So I like to share that and let you know the progress that I'm making. I got a little worried though with those bottles because like I put them on and I was just waiting for the sales, and it's just, nobody was buying them. But now, and I think with camping season coming up and summer coming up, I think these things are going to go. So I was happy to do that. And I think that it was a good investment. I said in the video, this is either going to be the worst thing that I've ever done at the bins or the best thing that I've ever done. And essentially, like, as far as I can tell, after only selling 3 of them, it's replaced my auto part that I did one other time. I bought 8 of these auto parts. I don't even know what it is. I still don't. It's a vapor canister, I think, or something. I bought 8 of these for $5. listed them on eBay, and then every once in a while I'd get a sale for one of these, and I was selling them for like $22. So every time one of those would sell, there's like $22 off of $5. So bins can be worth it. You just got to really kind of be careful with what you buy. Some of the things have flopped for me, and I'm okay with that because you can't win every single time, but the odds are in my favor as far as I'm concerned, just because you can do the research while you're there. You know, if you just went in there without any kind of data, if you didn't have a phone, it'd be tough because you're like, what is this thing? And like, there's so much stuff that I don't know about, but now that I do, and I know what I'm looking for, I'm having an easier time there too. So I've been having a lot of success. My yard sale stuff is selling as well, and I'm having nice returns on those. So it's just like firing all cylinders as far as I can tell. So that was kind of my week in sales, but there is one other thing though, some big news. This week I kind of made a video of me packing up some orders, and I was like, you know what? Let me see how much time I spend actually doing this. And it turned out that it was darn near 30 minutes for me to pack 5 orders. And the one thing that I know for a fact, and once I saw myself doing it on video, doing the printing labels the way that I do them, I print them out on a regular printer, on a regular sheet of paper. I cut the label out, and then I tape it on the box using packing tape. And months ago, like the end of last year, I considered getting a label printer. All the guys in my Discord said that I should do it. But I did the math on it, just the financials on how many labels would I have to print this way versus printing them out on my printer for it to make sense. And it was like 1,500 labels or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get that far, because at the time when I was doing these sales, like in 2023, towards the end of the year, I was selling like my own unused stuff. And we talked about that here in the podcast. I was like, if you're not finding value in something, let it go. So that's what I was doing. But I then found the bins, and then I started selling things that I was just buying simply to resell. My stuff has all been sold. Like all my personal things is gone. And now I'm just selling stuff that I find at the bins, and now yard sale season's here. So there's a lot happening. And I thought about how much time and energy and effort I'm putting into just making these labels all the time. And I thought about how nice it would be if I could just have a Bluetooth label printer where all I have to do is go on eBay, buy the shipping label and click a button to have it print out a label and slap it on the box. I was like, man, that'd be so nice. Because the one thing that I didn't calculate was my time and the amount of energy and everything that I'm putting into making these silly labels. And, you know, I was like, let me look and see what I can get a label printer for. And one of the highest rated ones on Amazon is a Rollo, which is $200. I'm like, no, I'm not quite there yet. But there was one that was $90 with like a $15 coupon or whatever with it. So I was like $75. And the reviews were outstanding. It says it works with eBay, works with your phone. And I do everything from my phone for eBay. Everything. So if you think that you need any kind of major equipment to do this, you don't. I was like, okay, $75. Let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, or if I have issues with it, I can send it back. But I don't think it'll take long, especially if I can continue doing this. I don't think it'll take long for me to recoup my cost in terms of the time that I spend. Because even if you're just talking a few minutes per label, like today I did 5 labels, and I couldn't help but think like that thing's arriving today. I couldn't help but think like, man, it's gonna be so nice this being the last time I have to do this. Because if just a couple minutes at a time versus just a second of you clicking the print button and putting a sticker on, man, it could be a huge difference. So I bit the bullet, if you will. And I got a label printer. I'm a official reseller now. So the nice thing with it, the way it's going to be set up, is I'm going to have everything in my storage room. So my shipping materials are there. That's where my inventory is. That's where my printer is going to be. So I can literally do everything in there, have a bag in there for everything to go into, like all the boxes to go into, and then we send it out. And I do it all from there instead of like taking the boxes upstairs and then printing them. And it takes a long time for the printer to kind of do its thing and then cut them and stuff. I don't know why I didn't just do it before, you know, like I don't like to like really spend on myself. I don't splurge too much, to be honest. Anything that I buy, almost everything, I really debate about and I really mull it over, and I decide, am I going to get enough value from that for it to be worth it? Do I need that thing? Can I get away with not getting it? And it's silly, I know. And it can be just something as simple as that. Like that's a $75 purchase, which in some people, you know, that's a lot of money. But like when you're doing this, and I think I've shown that I'm doing this, I don't think it's unreasonable to spend that amount. Plus it's a business expense too, as far as the government's concerned. Because I mean, obviously that's the only thing I'm going to use it for, which is the other benefit of having a regular printer. Because if you need to print something out, it's nice to have a printer, but I can't even remember the last time I've needed to actually print something. Like, what do you print these days? And the ink's super expensive too. So I'm done with that. We'll still have the printer, but the label printer I think is gonna pay off. And I'll do a little video on it. I'll show the unboxing setup, my first label, printing that out, and do a video. And maybe if it works and I really like it, and the only way that I'm gonna share this in a positive light is if I really do like it. Maybe I can do like an Amazon affiliate thing where it's like, hey, I showed this thing, because it won't be like a professional review. It won't be one that's like sponsored or anything. It's just going to be like a real honest review, which is the only kind that I would ever consider doing. And if it works and other people are like, hey, I need one of those too, I'm not going to do what I've been doing all this time. They use my link and then maybe I can make a few bucks, and maybe over the course of like 50 years, it might actually like pay for it or something, because you get like a little, it's like 3% or something like that. So if somebody buys one of those, it'd be like $2. I don't know. But it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt. So I'm going to use that to my advantage, I guess, because I have the ability to. And who knows? Here's the craziest thing. I don't really care about the Amazon affiliate thing. What I would be more interested in is there could be somebody that finds my channel simply because I made a video about this label printer that they were thinking about getting. And they're like, oh, this guy's kind of fun. What else does he do? Or maybe YouTube's like, ooh, you looked at his channel. Look at this other stuff. And they're like, oh, he went to Disney a few months ago. Let me watch that. Oh, this is great. He's got chickens or whatever. Look at his gorgeous chocolate lab. That's the most gorgeous creature I've ever seen in my life. I have to sub. That's what I'd be like. So yeah, you never know what could come of it. It doesn't hurt to share that experience. Like the one item that I can remember that this really worked with was this Logitech steering wheel and pedal kit that I got. And I just made a video on it. It wasn't like official or anything. It was just like, hey, I got this thing. I'm setting it up. This is my first time trying it. Just like I'm planning here. You wouldn't believe the number of people that went through my link to buy that and how many views that video got, simply because it was just an honest experience, you know? So I think there's a lot of value in that. Authenticity goes a long way on the internet because it's seldom found, unfortunately. So give it a shot. Worst case scenario, no one watches the video, and I do what I was going to do anyway. I was going to set it up. I can talk to a camera. I've done it once or twice before, so we'll do it. So I think it was kind of like, I guess what you'd call this is treating yourself. I treated myself, and I got myself a label printer. Speaking of not treating yourself, I had some jobs to do this week, mainly the Chickions decided that they're no longer going to stay inside my fence, which is needed replaced for a long time. In fact, I had already ordered 150 feet of new fencing, 3 50-foot rolls to go all the way from like the corner of our house all the way down around the chicken yard, because it's all battered up and getting really old, rusting out. And we've had lots of creatures coming in. We've had a fox get in there. We've had not porcupines. What are their relatives called? Trash pandas, also known as raccoons. We've had them come in. They're eating the chicken food. They're drinking water. They're having some eggs, you know, a little bit of breakfast at 1 o'clock in the morning. Midnight snack, maybe. And the Chickions now are getting out. They found a way. And every night this week, like we were going out, and Tom, our one chicken, and Summer, his accomplice, they were both out. So Clark and I would try to like get them back in, which if you have never seen us chicken wrangle, do yourself a favor and watch our little video where we're trying to get them back, because it's quite the experience. You almost need 2 people to do it, because you got to confine them into a smaller and smaller space, and then you grab them. And we were doing that, and I'm like, all right, enough is enough. This ends now, which is the title of the video where I put in all my new fencing. And it made me feel so good when I made that video, because I was like, you know, this is my big project for today. And I try to document what I'm up to. And I was like, this video is, no one's going to want to see this. This is just me putting a fence in. And I was surprised by the comments. To be fair, it underperformed everything else that I've done recently, expectedly. But the comments are what drew me in, because people were like, this is the content I subscribe for. I love to see this. Keep up the good work. And I'm just like, wow, I can put a fence in, you know, for my chickens. This is something that, you know, I really needed to do. And it wasn't like so much of a tutorial. It wasn't really entertaining. It wasn't really encouraging or inspiring, I don't think, but it was just like me sharing it. And it was really great to see the encouragement from the people that had watched that. That means so much to me, at least. I can't speak for other content creators, but sometimes these very encouraging comments come through. The ones I think get me the most are the ones where it's like a mother or father typing in, and they're like, I want to thank you for making these videos, because my son and I, or my daughter, whoever, we watch these together, and this really helps us, or this means a lot to us, and we appreciate what you're doing. And I was just like, dude, I love that. I love the fact that multiple generations of families can tune into something together and both get value from it. So that always brings a smile to my face and like warmth to my heart. So I've been getting that lately just by sharing the kind of day-to-day stuff, the Home Alone with Greg's, if you will, or the no zero days. I will say, I've had people also say, like, I really would love to see some SD's rockets, some RC stuff, and the beach videos, traveling. I'm like, hey, you're at the right place at the right time, because summer's right around the corner. Clark and Cody are going to be home, and then it's going to go from boring old Greg being home alone all day, which maybe some people like, to more like, hey, we got all this time together. Let's go take advantage of it. Let's go run an RC truck. Let's go get the boats out. Let's go camping. Let's go fishing. All of that's right around the corner. And I'm like stoked. It's the perfect time of year. It's the most wonderful time of the year, some would say. So we got that coming, and I think that'll make people pretty happy. But yeah, I think the most important thing is just staying consistent. What do I always say, guys? You've been around long enough to know. Show up and be consistent. That's all I do. And it seems to be working, and I'm happy about that. So anyways, back to my story. I got the fence fixed. No escapes since then. I need to turn the camera on out there because I want to see if anything ends up showing up at night. I don't think so, because I have it blocked off pretty good. Like, there's no more like holes or like spots for anything to get through. I will be putting one more camera out there. I got another yard sale haul last week. It wasn't as spectacular as the Walkman, but I got these Blink cameras, which are kind of expensive. Two outdoor cameras, an indoor camera, and like the little module that runs it all. I got all that for I think it was like $10. And those cameras are salty. We have them all over the house. I even have one in the chicken yard. And I was like, ooh, I can get a secondary cam out there, because I always check on them when we leave. Like when we go on vacation, I'm like, okay, chickens are outside. Their water bowl looks full. Obviously, food is good for like the next month. And it'd be nice to have like an alternate shot. And then I can have a backyard cam too. And I'm going to sell the module since I already have one. That's the nice thing about Blink cameras, is that it's through Amazon, I think, sort of. You can add more and more on. I don't know how many you can have up to, but we haven't reached the limit yet. So I'll just add a couple cameras on, sell the module thing that kind of like is the hub for more than I bought it for. And I got a bunch of extra free cameras, and I can put a camera down here too inside. And we could do a 24-hour Brickatech Studio live stream. Like, you could tune in and watch me doing the podcast while I'm doing it, which would be pretty cool. But I'd probably forget the cameras there, and then I'd come down here naked and, traumatize a bunch of people, obviously. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool too. So things do be happening. And I got like all these jobs done this week. I made this idea to myself where it's like, hey, all these little things that I'm knocking out, I can do 1,000 little jobs and it equals like one big job. So if you just knock off like your little checklist of things, like if you see, like, for example, I had a creaky door over here. I said, like, we have a ghost, and it goes to close. Sprayed WD-40, it's fixed. That's a little job. I sweeped out the garage, it's a little job. I made pickled eggs, it's a little job. That all adds up if you just stay productive. Sprayed the weeds. I shared all that in a video because that's what people want to see, right? They do, surprisingly. And I was just happy to get all that done, and I'm pretty pleased with my productivity level this week. But that wasn't all. In the world of Patreon, which, if you love this podcast, is a great time for me to promote it. If you love this podcast and you're getting value from it, consider becoming a patron. This podcast is free to everyone to watch and listen to, whatever you want to do, but it's a great way of supporting the channel and helping me buy chicken fence and anything else that we're getting into. I ended up making a Patreon exclusive video this week of us getting ready, or me getting ready for the yard sale today. I was getting everything kind of together that I was going to be selling. And then I also got into this Happy Meal box of toys that I got last week at the yard sales. I paid $3 for it. And I was just going to put it in the yard sale over at Bud and Deb's, but I was like, I'm going to go through here and pick out, there was some vintage stuff in there that I noticed. And I was like, ooh, vintage Happy Meal toys. And I recognized at least one from my childhood. So I went through there and I started picking things out that I recognized, like Sesame Street characters, this old Ronald McDonald thing, even some like newer stuff that I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna look it up. And I was shocked to find out how much value was in that box, particularly the Sesame Street characters that I pulled out of there. You can see some of them. If I move over a little bit, you can see a little bit of a lineup there beside me. On the right side of your screen, I guess. Dude, there's things in there that are worth a whole bunch. Not a whole bunch, but more than what I paid for it on an individual basis. So if I bulk those together and sell them all up, could turn into something. So I'm being careful. I didn't take that over to the yard sale today because I was going to sell whatever stuff I didn't want. Because I'm like, dude, there's probably something in here that I have no idea what it is. And it could be worthwhile. So what I'm going to do is spend some time going through that, and whatever I don't want, I think I'm just going to donate to the American Rescue Workers, essentially giving it to charity, and then they can sell it or do whatever they want with it and make some money for people that need it. And I'll sell some of the valuable stuff on eBay, and it's like, cool. So that'll be a little project for me, and that'll help when yard sale season kind of dies off, because then all I'm going to have is just the bins. I go to the bins maybe 2 times a week. I go on $5 a day and $3 day or so. $5 a day, I only buy things that are worth like $20 or more. Then $3 a day, I'm a little more lenient when it comes to things because there's a little more margin there for shipping and stuff. And then after that, like when I was there at $3 a day this week, I found some things, but like there was hardly anything left. Like it wouldn't have been worth it going on $2 a day, even if things are $2. And $1 a day is just like, ugh, I don't know, man. There's probably something you could get there, but yeah, it's almost pretty bare there. And I see other resellers there too. Like I saw this lady that was going through with her phone and looking things up. No hate. I have no problems with that. Do your thing. But it's like, man, I think the competition's kind of getting there. Plus I'm telling everyone about it. I had somebody say the one week that they made a 40-minute drive to go to the bins and they found a nice score on $3 a day. It was like a Hot Wheels. So I was like, hey, that's cool, but stay out of my territory. No, I'm just kidding. I want everybody to become a reseller. I always do this. And I shouldn't, because not everyone has the same dreams that I have. But, I make YouTube videos. And I'm like, you need to start a YouTube channel. Do you have a hobby? Do you have something that you want to do? Do you have something that you like? Because there's a community of people out there that are just like you and they're going to love it. Please do it. And reselling is the same way. I'm like, I'm having so much fun with this. You got to go to a yard sale. You got to go to your community and see what they have and ask about Lego. And it's like, well, not everybody wants that for their lives. Lots of people are very content just doing the thing that they're doing. They don't need their little hustles. They don't need their little hobbies. And they have their thing, but they don't want to turn it into a YouTube series, right? Most people don't. In fact, I think like of the number of people that have YouTube accounts and the number of people that have actual channels, the number of people that actually do this like I do, I think it's like 0.5% of people that are like monetized, have more than 1,000 subscribers and all that jazz. So yeah, I'm talking to you as though like I want you to do this, but we all have different aspirations, and I think that's great. That's what makes the world interesting. What if we were all just YouTubers? How boring would that be? Who would even watch? Everybody's just walking around with their little vlog camera showing themselves at Knoebels. It's like, that's no fun. Everybody needs to find the thing that they love in life, and I think that's the most important thing. I don't think there's any harm in grinding until you get there. Like I did that. I have some regrets spending 9 years of my best years maybe working at a job that I wasn't super passionate about, and I don't think moved the needle at all in terms of the world in any way. But then I look at the last 7 years that I've been able to do this, and I feel the exact opposite. I feel like I hear from people that I maybe moved the needle for a little bit. And I think this is my calling. I think this is what I was put here for. And it's an honor to be able to do it. I'm not crying, you are. But yeah, that's I don't know. I think about that sometimes because I get a little passionate about things, and sometimes your enthusiasm can be contagious, but sometimes you can push a little too hard. And that's where I get a little worried about my reselling ventures and sharing that stuff, because I feel like people are like, oh my God, Greg, I don't care about the bins anymore. Just show me the chickens and the fencing. But I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing. And I thought about maybe just having like here's my week in reselling or whatever. But then I also do I share my daily stuff. So it's tough to navigate. And the way I feel is like, if somebody's not interested in one particular thing that I do, then just fast forward a little bit. I'm doing something else probably in the next 3 minutes anyway, or the next video. And I just share what I'm up to and what I'm into. That's why you're here, right? Speaking of that, Deb, I know she's listening to this. I had some nice things to say about her last week, which she heard, which I'm thankful for. She said this podcast is boring. And I'm like, well, of course it's boring. It's just me talking about my week. But it's like, that's what it's advertised as. And I was like, this of all the things that I make, this would be the videos or the content that I would like the most, because I like to multitask. And if I could just tune into this and listen to it while I'm doing something else. In fact, I talked to a gentleman today. I won't give any names away, but he's in our most recent yard sale video. that's what he subscribed for, or that's why he likes the most. So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, right? I don't know how to do anything other than to share what I'm into. So I'm into podcasting. Have you recognized that? Or have you realized that yet? You might have noticed over the last 5 years and 209.5 episodes that we're through, because we have some more left of this. It's not quite over. We've got some listener feedback to get into. We'll start all the way here with DB Bricks. And he's commenting on some things that we talked about last week, particularly about, I talked about how Clark's field trip was just going to the local park and not like an actual field trip somewhere. And that kind of ended at COVID. And I started talking about how some things have, in my opinion, have gotten worse since COVID. Customer service, communication, togetherness, socialization. I feel like those things have been hampered. And I wanted to get your opinion on that. And you guys had some opinions. So I'll start reading those here, starting with DB, who says, I know a lot of people, including some in this episode's comments I've read so far, are bemoaning the decline in customer service since COVID. I get it, but I've seen it from the other side as well. And unfortunately, I can safely say staff/customer relations in a lot of businesses are an all-time low. I worked in a grocery store in the small rural town where I lived over COVID. Before, it was pleasant enough. Not my favorite job, but fine. But then COVID came, and the vast majority of customers just became, for lack of a nicer way of putting it, the nastiest people I've ever had to deal with. People who would not listen, who were abusive, and who would entirely lay the blame on you personally for rules you had no say over. A complete contrast in opinions some people thought were far too over the top. Others who thought we weren't going far enough. Not one thank you for actually putting food in the shelves for people to buy and having to come in close contact with hundreds of people every day during a pandemic. And coming out of COVID, this never recovered. It made me not only hate my job, but hate the town I live in. The COVID years absolutely destroyed me mentally. I was always intending to leave when I could go to self-employed full-time, and I did this as soon as I could after COVID. Financially, it's been the biggest mistake I've ever made. Mentally, I don't know. I'm still very much undecided as to which of the stress of dealing with abusive customers or the stress of being constantly broke is worse. Apologies for my somewhat downbeat comment this week. I know you'll say don't apologize. How'd you know? But I'm going to do so anyway. It's just a topic that hits a nerve with me. We'll try better for an upbeat comment next week. No, that's not necessary, my friend. I think it's better to be honest than to be positive, right? You explained how you feel, and I bet there's somebody out there listening to this that can relate to that. You know, lots of people were the essential workers working on the front lines that got crapped on during COVID. I've seen the videos. I've seen the angry people that go into restaurants, fast food places, grocery stores, and are just absolute jerks. And I don't know if that's more of a sign of our times or our culture, our leadership, treating people with disrespect and not following the golden rule, we'll say. But I hope there's a chance for us to turn around. I always think about like the future generations. Like I look at Clark's generation and those kids and I'm like, man, I hope they're the ones that can save us from ourselves. Can they fix all of these things? But then I think like, is it really fair for them to have to fix all these things? Why can't we do it as grown adults? Why can't we fix our social issues? Why can't we fix our political issues, our climate issues? Why can't we do that? And I guess it's everybody just wants to kick the can down the road and not have to deal with it and, live in ignorance or bliss or whatever you want to have. But some people have to pay the price, it seems. And look at what it did to you with how things are. And I don't think your situation's unique in customer service in that regard. So I'm glad that you got out of it. I would say, like, as long as you got a food in your belly and a roof over your head, your mental state is probably more important than your financials. Because what good is having extra money if you literally are just at your wit's end? And I'm curious, that's my opinion on it. I'm curious to see what other people have to say, because I think this could be a good ongoing a topic of back and forth here with us. I was going to say communication, topic of discussion, I think is the word we're looking for. I'm working on it. We're getting there. Okay, let's move on. Thank you for that comment. Thank you for putting yourself out there, because that's not easy to do. I may do it, but like to leave a comment where you're like, you lay it on the line like that, and then feel like you need to apologize for that. Heck no, don't you ever. Anyways, let's go on to Journal of the Scots. He says, spot on. Companies used it. I'm using new words here. Used it to keep stupid service fees and service levels have never recovered since the pandemic. It will take increased competition in some industries to get the extra benefits back or pricing down, but it's not likely anytime soon, unfortunately. I did see, You know how companies have used inflation as a way to jack up their prices. I saw Target in particular is lowering prices on a lot of their stuff because I think they've realized they've reached the point where they've broken us in some ways. It's like, oh yeah, the COVID pandemic, that's why all the prices are up and inflation and all of that. Well, you're kind of causing that when a Big Mac was $2 and now it's $7, right? Or I'm just using that as a silly example, but at some point people are going to be like, hey, I don't think this is worth it anymore. I'm kind of like that when it comes to eating out. I'm like, yeah, as much as I'd like to spend, $30 for Clark and I to get fast food, let's just go home and make some chicken nuggets in the air fryer. It's like, it's that point, and you got to vote with your wallet. I think it's the best thing you can do. And when more people vote with their wallet, these companies are going to be like, oh, wait a minute. We don't like not making money. Let's try to fix this. We got to do it though. You got to vote with your wallet. Next one comes from Laura Lee. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It says, it's funny, I tuned in to hear you talking about life after COVID. I'm always talking about this because it just feels to me like it's 2024 and we're going backward instead of forward, and we just don't interact with people anymore. So she's talking about the social side of things. I've walked in the store, used a self-checkout, and didn't come in contact with anybody, and it just feels so strange to me. I grew up in the 70s and it feels like we were back there with everything closing early anymore. I just find it all sad. I agree. One thing I really do like, though, with yard sales in particular, people are so social and nice and friendly. Whether they're customers at your yard sales or people hosting yard sales, everybody's just so nice. And it's weird how, and I don't know if it's because we live in a small town where it's common for people to be friendly to each other, maybe less common in like big cities, I talked to Cody about this a long time ago, where it seems like the fewer people you come in contact with, the more likely you are to like strike up a conversation or wave or say hi. But like if you walk down a busy New York City street, how many people are you going to like acknowledge, nod to, say hi, give them a high five, whatever the case is? Probably no one. No one's going to interact at all. It's such a bizarre thing, isn't it? But I do agree. I think a lot of the conveniences that we've taken on, that we've loved, have actually impacted us negatively. In fact, I watched a video this week about Netflix and movie rentals in general, and he was talking about how when he was a kid, Blockbuster, Hollywood Video or whatever was the place on Friday night that everyone went to after you got a pizza or whatever, and you picked out a movie, and it was this social thing, just like shopping malls used to be. Well, now you sit at home, you by yourself, you Netflix it or whatever, and you miss that. Convenience has replaced some of the things that keep us human in some ways. And I don't know if we'll ever like go back to that, because like to have like a video store open now seems so archaic. But maybe there will be like a revolution where people are like, I miss this. I want that again. Or maybe they'll forget it was even a thing, and then it'll just be the way it is. I don't know. I hate to always like I hate to be the downer and be like, boy, things are so bad right now. Things are going to get worse. But I feel like technology, all of the benefits of technology always seem to go too far and end up negatively impacting us. Like the internet, for example. It's a great thing when it starts out and you can email your friends, you can shop online, and then all the stores in your town close because you're shopping online. You don't go to the mall anymore because instead of hanging out with your friend at the mall and having some ice cream, you just chat on Discord or when you're playing Fortnite, and all of these things that we value as a society seemingly like go away. And then we're just left with those things that replaced them. And I don't think that the experience is as good, even though it's more convenient. Convenience isn't always the answer. That's just my opinion. Some people could probably disagree with this, and I would encourage you to do that because it makes some great conversation in future episodes. Next one comes from Jennifer, who says, I don't know about negatives since COVID, but some positives. My dad and brother both get to work from home now, doing the same jobs they did pre-COVID. See, there's some positive to come from this. My mom, who had stopped going to church pre-COVID for some reason, now can worship online and even look at services at other churches. Also, because the church is on YouTube, she is beginning to learn how to use YouTube. The grocery stores are now online, so you can pre-shop, browse for new items, and study them from the convenience of your home. See what's in stock and on sale, and help make a grocery list. And some stores will tell you where the item's located, saving time. You can even get groceries delivered. So there you go. Maybe conveniences are good. I don't know about the people that work at the grocery store or the person or the church that was relying on you to come in to offer your donations to them and keep them going. Who knows what's going to happen to them, but it is nice, I guess, to be able to do all that from your phone in your house. See, I guess it depends on your, how you look at things. Like, it's nice to play uh, movies from your home or play video games from your home, the arcade owner is like, well, what about the arcade? What about the fun you had playing Street Fighter with your friends? Movie theaters, like, remember when you used to come here and buy popcorn and sodas and we made a bunch of money from you? What happened to that? It's like, well, I love watching Netflix. There's good and bad from everything. It just depends on how you look at it. Next one comes from Megan's Moments, who had a similar scenario here. She says, I grew up in Winona, Minnesota, and our field trip for 8th grade of smaller private school was a trip to St. Paul, 2-hour drive, to see the Capitol, Fort Snelling, and shop at Mall of America. I'd love to go there. I want to see what that's like. Plus, we did a year-end picnic day at the park about 20 minutes from our school. That field trip to St. Paul was awesome. I'll say one result of COVID I love is curbside pickup at Target. I get so many tiny orders via curbside that I pick up on my way home from work. My son is always with me, and it's been nice as a new mom to not drag him in the store every single time. He's 6 months old when COVID happened. I will say many other things are a pain since COVID, but I love some of the services that stuck around. So there you go. The moms, they feel like the convenience factor is there. What do you guys think? I'll stop sharing my opinion. Next one comes from Ashley. No, I won't stop. I see what you're saying, and I've certainly taken advantage of. I can't say like I'm not a part of the problem. Like, I buy from Amazon often. It's nice to go on and look at reviews, just like we were saying there, and be like, "Ooh, that's a good product. That's a great price. It'll be here tomorrow. Buy." Meanwhile, the guy at say I buy a battery for a camera, for example, something I did this week. The guy at the camera shop, if there even is one, he's like, well, what about my battery that I'm selling? I'm here in my shop. And I'm like, well, it's less convenient. And, then you sacrifice that. I don't know. Next one comes from Ashley. It says, thank you for the advice on streaming. When I researched this before, I was thinking of doing Hulu Live that comes with Disney Plus. I don't think I have a smart TV, so I guess I need a streaming device. Maybe it's worth getting a new TV. I have no clue. We are the same as far as internet, except our option is Breeze Line, previously Atlantic Broadband. This is also who the cable is through. It's Monopoly. Mason is in kindergarten, so we didn't have school during COVID, but his field trips are local as well. The one he has this week is actually in walking distance. I do think the older elementary kids go places that are a couple hours away. Sometimes I wonder if the school has also used liability as the reason. Things are just so different than they were when I was in school, 90s through early 2000s. We're the same age. You are so right about each generation saying how much better things were. I can't imagine what this generation will say is better. It was so nice to hear what you said about your in-laws. It's great to watch. You fit right in there. Have a great week. Well, thank you. Yeah, I think regardless of what things were like when you were a kid, you're not really aware of a lot of things that are happening, like, oh, we're in a recession or inflation or whatever the case is. You think about the time when you were a kid and you and your buddies were playing with G.I. Joes, or maybe that's dating myself, or you were playing Fortnite with your friends online. You think about those times, and those make the childhood special. It's a time of no worries and no obligations and infinite free time, and that's always going to be good. And then when you get to be an adult and you're like, oh, I have a mortgage now. Oh, I have to buy groceries. Like, all of those things, kind of like real life stuff, is like, oh crap. That it was so much better back then. But maybe, I feel confident on the next generation coming up. I think they see the mistakes and the error of our ways, and I think they're going to fix it. Please do it for us. But as far as streaming, you could get like one of those Roku sticks, I think, to turn your TV into a smart TV. There's ways of doing it. But boy, TVs have gotten so cheap these days, especially if you wait until Black Friday. You can probably get like a 75-inch TV for like $199 these days. They're so inexpensive. And pretty much any modern TV, I think, is a smart TV. Yours might even be that, for all you know. But yeah, I didn't really consider Hulu because that's one I don't have. I don't tend to really watch too many TV shows, and that's, I think, what mostly Hulu is. Disney Plus, though, is good. So if you could bundle those together, that'd be great. I am thinking about maybe dumping Apple TV and getting Max for a little bit, which was HBO Max, because Dune Part 2 is available on there, I saw today. So I'm like, ooh, you can buy it for $13, or I could get a month of Max, which I was like, oh, I could get Max and watch anything else that I want to see. Maybe just have it for a month. And that's the nice thing about these streaming services is you could join for a month, binge all the stuff you want to watch on HBO, and then dump that and then be like, oh, I'm going to get Netflix for a month. And then I'll watch everything on Disney. And then that, how they get you though is you sign up for everything and then you watch a little bit here and there maybe, and they're just collecting your money every month. It's a great business model. So yeah, I would say look at the selection and see what's worth it for you. If you have kids, Disney Plus is going to be a good one. Netflix, I said last week, is kind of quantity over quality in my opinion. Amazon Prime, if you already have Prime shipping, which a lot of people do, especially if you live in rural areas, there's lots of movies and shows on there that's already included with that. Plus, you get the added benefit of 1 or 2 day shipping and putting your local cameraman out of business. Boy, that's terrible. But you got lots of options. You just decide. But yeah, the TV expense is going to be kind of sucky unless you get like I saw a Roku stick for $10 today. I should have bought it for you and sent it to you. I don't know if that's a good deal or not. I don't even know what they cost anymore. I've never bought one. Next one comes from Sold by Ronnie. He says, I'm curious YouTube even wants to promote YouTube Premium. They make the bulk of their money from ad sales, and if they don't have people watching ads, they're losing out on advertising dollars. I'm sure there is a break-even line, and it's likely they have figured out exactly what YouTube Premium costs. I agree with you, though. I cannot exist in a world where I have to watch ads during my YouTube time. It spoils you, I swear. Like, once you get YouTube Premium, it would be very difficult to go back and have an ad pop up right now. Like, it would suck. So I've kind of gotten spoiled by that, but YouTube is by far my number one, by a long shot, my number one service that I use for content consumption. Not only YouTube, but YouTube Music. I use that as well. I don't have Spotify or anything. Some of you guys do. You listen to this on Spotify or Spotify Premium or whatever. But it's expensive for YouTube Premium because we have the family plan, because I have Clark's account on there, Mrs. Bricktex. We all use it. And I have multiple YouTube channels or accounts, so they're all under the family plan. And I find it valuable because I spend a lot of time doing this and it's worth it for me. But you just have to decide like if it's worth the cost to you. As far as advertising dollars, I think that YouTube would be vastly better off, like exponentially better off, if every user that uses YouTube regularly were to pay them $15 a month or $13 a month or whatever it is. Do you realize how many ads that is? Like the average ad rate on YouTube is like, if you watched, let's just put it this way. If you watched every one of my videos, if I made a daily vlog every single day and you watched that video every single day that I put it out, 365 days a year, 365 videos, at the end of the year, I would have earned probably like maybe $1 to $2 from that. You watching one of my videos every single day for an entire year. So YouTube, they get like, it's like a 50-50 split. So they would have made a couple dollars off you. Now, instead of you watching my video every single day for the entire year and whatever else you're watching, if you were just to pay YouTube $13 a month, look how much more money they would make. From one person, they would make 13 times or whatever. You know, it's like, I don't know what the math would work out to be, but like one person could replace like 100 users essentially. And that's like, this is crazy when you think about it. But again, I talked about this last week, and I think I used a little bit of too aggressive language. I think I said like the average YouTube user is a deadbeat. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. That's what credit card companies call people that pay their bill off every month. They call them deadbeats because they're not making money off of them. But like most people on YouTube aren't deadbeat people, but most people on the internet in general want everything that they use to be free. They will not pay for anything, but they are paying. They just don't realize, or maybe they do and don't care. You're paying with your data. You're paying with your attention, your time. Because when you're on the free services like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you're getting ads. They're watching what you're doing. I know this sounds conspiracy theory-ish, but you know, they're analyzing like, okay, this person watches videos about running shoes and they watch videos about whatever it is you're into. And they're like, okay, we can bundle this information together, then sell that to a company. And that's what they do. You know, it's how they make money. If anything, I think this is the best way of thinking about it. If something that you enjoy is free, you're the product. It's as simple as that. You're the product. They're selling you. So I don't know. Content creators and YouTube would be better off if YouTube was a paid platform, but everything would drop off. For example, I mentioned about Patreon, for example. There's people that listen to this podcast every single week and have listened to it every single week, maybe even since it started. If I were to say this podcast is only available going forward on Patreon and it's going to be $1 per month, I would probably lose 95% of the people that listen to this, even if they've listened to every single episode, because while you are totally okay with consuming it every single week and you're getting value from it in some way, enough that you come back every single week, as soon as you put that idea in there or that preposition that it's going to cost something, even if it's $1, people are out. Wouldn't even consider it. Even if they're getting 4 or 5 hours of entertainment from it every single month, not worth $1. No way. So that's just that's the reality of it. So YouTube, if they were to do YouTube Premium and almost make it like mandatory, for example, their user base would completely fall apart because no one would pay for YouTube Premium, just like they aren't now. They don't see enough value in it, or they don't know about it. Again, I don't think YouTube really pushes it, for one thing. And I think that most people are okay just like pressing the skip ad button. They're fine with that. That's just the life that they live, and they don't know any different. It's ads are a part of the internet because I want it for free. I don't want to pay for anything. So that's boy, that went on way too long, but that's something that I guess I can relate to, and I have a lot of opinions on. But if you have opinions, if you feel differently, let me know, because I'd love to hear from you about such matters, and like your thoughts on not only YouTube Premium, just ads in general. Are you the product? Have you realized that you're the product yet? You did now. Next one comes from Kelly. He says, I just signed up for YouTube Premium again. We're loving it. I canceled a few Amazon Kids channels because episodes are on YouTube. Winning. There you go. You're back on YouTube Premium. No ads. Boy, I should, like I said before, like if YouTube just did a thing where they had an affiliate program where instead of people promoting Raid Shadow Legends, BetterHelp, and Squarespace, which is like all the stuff that people seem to promote, Raycon headphones or whatever, if instead they're just like, hey, did you know you could watch this entire video, and every video that you're going to watch this entire month on YouTube, ad free? First month is, first 3 months is free, and then after that, $9.99 a month. Like they bring the price down to that, I think a lot more people would be likely to sign up, and then they could give the creator a little bit of something for advertising it. I think that would help a lot, because I wouldn't even know YouTube Premium really exists if I didn't already have it. I don't know where I even found out about it at. Who knows? Anyway, she goes on to say, also, I might have been the person who said I like hearing your opinion, even if I disagree. I don't remember you saying anything terrible, LOL, just life choices. Like homeschool versus public school, that kind of thing. We homeschool, so I was hoping you would join the club. Great show as usual. Glad Clark is better. Prayers for Budman. Also love watching your relationship with your in-laws. Truly a good thing to see. Yeah, the homeschool thing, like I would like to do that, but for me, and this is just my opinion, I guess I do have a lot of opinions, and they're maybe easy to disagree with. Because I was thinking, like, when I read that comment before, I was thinking, like, dang, I wonder what I said that, like, someone would, like, disagree with. I don't think I gave too many hot takes, or is that what it's called, a hot take? But maybe I do. Maybe I have a lot of hot takes, probably. I like the idea of homeschool. I like the idea of having more time and learning things that are truly important. But I also like the idea of the socialization aspect of school, even if that's not necessarily a good thing. Because, other kids have issues, problems, bad behaviors, but it's good to be out in that space. And I'm not saying you can't do this as a homeschool community, because you could all get together or have friends, but I think it's nice for him to go to school and see, like, okay, this is how other kids are acting. This is good. This is bad. This is how I wait in line. This is how we all work together. Because when you go into a job, that's going to be a big part of it, and I want him to have that experience, even if in some cases it could negatively impact him. Like I noticed some things he says and comes home with that it's like, where'd you hear that at? Or where'd you learn that at? And kids in the bus are wild. So there are some negatives, but I think I'd be doing Clark a disservice to like keep him home. Just because I don't have like the community of homeschoolers. I'm sure it exists somewhere nearby, and it probably does. And maybe that would be better. But right now I feel good about how he's learning at school. He's excelling there. He's at like a 5th grade reading level, which is great. His teacher has been really good the last few years. And it's like, well, I shouldn't say the last few years, but he's had 3 out of 4 have been really good teachers. And I just want that momentum to continue. And I think things are working well. And he's learning a lot there, not only in terms of reading, writing, arithmetic, but also this is how to engage with other people, how to make friends, and how to be a citizen, I guess, is more than anything. So I feel good about it. Would I like him home with me? Yes. Could I do as good of a job as the school is doing? Probably not, to be honest, unless I really put some time and energy into it. But I guess I'd have to give up the bins. He comes home on the summers though, so we'll have that. Next one comes from, thank you for commenting, and sorry if and in my opinions, this goes to anybody. Sorry if my opinions offend you in any way. I hope you continue listening and forgive. Next one comes from Janelle. She says, we still have field trips. Third graders go to the Pittsburgh Zoo. This is what I'm talking about. Fourth graders, Heinz History Center. Sixth graders go to Carnegie Science Center. Clark would lose his mind there. Amusement parks were better before COVID, and the movies haven't recovered. Hotels were definitely better before COVID. I'm glad Clark is feeling better. I'm not good for recommending podcasts. I listen to news, politics, and medical ones. You're not listening to the serialized murder mystery podcasts. That seems to be what most people are really into. They like the ones that it's like a mystery of sorts, and then you can listen to them all and binge them and stuff. That's what I see on Apple Podcasts. But if you guys have any podcasts that you want to throw my way that you think are amazing, throw them at me, because I always need more stuff to listen to. Right now I'm trying to finish the Hobbit audiobook, and then I think I'm going to go into Silo. Good news is I got a whole reading list of things that I can listen to and or read on Reddit this week. Someone did a post that was, what's a book that you couldn't stop reading or that you've read more than 4 times? And I jotted down all the ones that were like the heavy hitters that a lot of people were agreeing with. So I might be good, and we'll just do the Audible membership. There's another membership that you could get if you really want to expand your mind instead of getting Hulu or Disney or YouTube Premium and watching these goofy YouTubers do stuff. Get an Audible membership, and then you can listen to an audiobook and better yourself. Speaking of bettering yourself, thank you to our sponsor, BetterHelp. If you would like to use code Missing Pieces, you can get 3 months of therapy. No, just kidding. See, we could do that, but I don't know. Next one comes from, No Dig Garden Channel, also known as Bobby in some circles. He says, Greg, I'm in a quandary. Ooh, we love quandaries around here. He says, it's a first world problem, but one we're faced with nonetheless. With our 6-year-old finishing kindergarten the first week of June, we're planning our summer vacation between Hawaii, Outer Banks, and Disney World. Boy, I wish I had your problems. He says, here's the score. Wife and I have been to Kauai and Maui, preferred Kauai, but Michael has not. None of us had been to either of the 2 other choices. I'm kind of over Hawaii. I know. Wife loves it. I want to visit OBX for the first time, and I know the wife would get her dose of sun and fun, and we could do lots of new things together as a family. So he's pitching me, what should I do? He said, Michael would rather do the OBX or Disney World. Thoughts? Okay. I think for him being 6 years old, I'm going to tell you to go to Disney World because, well, I don't know what your Outer Banks vacation costs you, but the costs aren't too far off for where we go to Outer Banks. We go to Kill Devil Hills, and Disney it's a little more expensive, but there's a lot more to do at Disney. If you want to be in the sun and play in the water, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the beach, stay at one of the Disney hotels that has a pool. You can certainly do that there. But then a side thing of that, especially with a 6-year-old who probably doesn't want to just sit on the beach all day, or maybe he does, Clarkman loves it. You can then go to all the parks, have a great time there. You could see Magic Kingdom, which would be amazing. Go to Epcot, Hollywood Studios. You can see Animal Kingdom. Oh my gosh. You got me wanting to go back to Disney. But yeah, I would definitely pull the trigger on Disney with a 6-year-old. That's going to be pretty magical. Assuming that he's good with walking. Clarkman was always good about that. Like he was 6 and 7 when we took him, or maybe 7 or 8, maybe. We took him on all those trips around the world during Cody's sabbatical, and he never put up a fuss or anything, but I could see little dudes maybe getting a little tired. But you don't have to go as hard as some people do. Like, you don't have to do every park in a day. You can go to Magic Kingdom in the morning, have a great time, go to the pool in the afternoon, chill out, take a nap, come back out later, go to Epcot, walk around there, have some good food. That's what I'd recommend for that age. Outer Banks is nice, but it's like definitely more of a chill experience. And maybe you as adults would like that. But I think with a little dude, going to Disney at that age would be like, I'm going to say it, magical. I think it would be really amazing for him. And I think you guys are going to like it too, especially if you've never been there. You'll have a fun time. Just know that it's going to be expensive. You're going to feel like you got fleeced when you leave there. But then you're also like 6 months from now, you're going to be like, boy, I really want to go back to Disney again. Boy, I miss that place. I don't know how they get you, but they get you. And you just willingly want to go back and keep getting fleeced for more and more money, it seems. So my vote's going to be Disney World. If any of you guys want to put out any kind of recs for Bobby here, who's in a quandary, where shall I go? Disney, Outer Banks, or Hawaii? Oh boy, is all an option. You might have to sell your house, but dude, yeah, you're going to have a fun time no matter where you go. But you're, geez, now I'm thinking, you guys did the Hawaii thing. Okay, just go to Disney. Final answer, Disney. Speaking of Disney, though, Brixar says, It may be an unpopular opinion. They're the opinions we like the most here. I have many of my own. He says, but everyone in my family agreed Fantasmic was a colossal waste of time. We should have taken advantage of everyone leaving the park to ride the rides with no wait time. It's a long walk to sit in uncomfortable seats and barely see a boring show. But obviously, there are people who love it. I don't know why. Yeah, the only reason that I'm upset that we didn't do it is because we didn't do it. I don't know how good or bad it is. I haven't even watched what it is. Like, you can watch a YouTube video. I'm sure somebody's filmed it. Somebody along the way has made the whole video that you could watch it on YouTube. What would it be like being in there in person? I want to see what it's like. I think they do it like every night. So like, I think I could sacrifice one of the nights to go see it and like make a decision on it. But I do agree, like if you want to do something in Hollywood Studio, like I walked on Tower of Terror during Fantasmic. That's the move if you really want to dominate the place. Because Hollywood Studio, everybody goes there. Like I was sitting there on the curb eating some ice cream or waiting for ice cream, and it was just a flood of people going to Fantasmic. So there must be something there. But for a lot of those people, that's like the one and only time that they're going to do it. So let me know if you've been there. How's Fantasmic? Is Jabbo right? Is it a big waste of time? I'd like to agree that it is because I didn't do it. But what did I miss? That's the thing. I have FOMO now, but you're making me not have so much FOMO. So thank you for that. Next one comes from Jay's Hobby Reviews. He says, great podcast this week, Greg. Thank you. He says, are you sure? He says, I do feel that school field trips have been lackluster at most with little thought in terms of excitement. I remember back in my day, you know you're old when you say back in my day because I've done it. He says, going to amusement park, zoo, or museum. Like Janelle says, when it comes to YouTube Premium, I had it back when it was called YouTube Red, which I believe is around 2016, 2017. But back then it was $9.99. Those were the days. A plus with YouTube Premium is that you can add 5 accounts and use your ad-free benefits. Have you thought about creating another channel that revolves more in the depth of your reselling/thrift pickups? I don't know if I need another channel, my friend, but I have considered doing the thing where I just make like a video about it a week. Like, hey, here's the things I bought. Here's the things I sold. Show like the sold listings. I think that'd be really cool. And that would be one of those things that I think generates new people to the channel as well, as opposed to just sneaking it into my videos here and there. Like, hey, I'm off to the bins right now. Hey, I'm shipping out these packages. Look at me going to the post office. I think maybe I'm going to consolidate that from like a daily vlog scenario to my week in sales. I think that would do really well. And then people could binge it. They could be like week 1, week 2, this week, that week. I think that'd be really beneficial and in every way, every single way. Cause then it gets it out of people that don't want to see that. And then it gets it into people that really do, and maybe find some new ones that do as well. So thank you for the recommendation there. Cause I think we're kind of on the same page with that. Just not a new channel. No more new channels for me. Next one comes from Tracy. It says, as always, Greg, thanks for sharing. I went to a store similar to your bins that is near my sister's house. She goes all the time, and we're discussing how there's potential to make money reselling some of the items. I have thought about getting into reselling as my teacher's side hustle, but it can feel overwhelming with shipping and listing items. What are your tips for starting out and learning how to resell as a side hustle? Oh, the easiest thing, like I've shown it in my videos a little bit, but just find an item in your house that has a barcode on it or something that's easily identifiable, a Lego set, for example. And then all you have to do is just type that into eBay and see what people are selling it for. And if you click on sold listings, you can see what it's selling for. And if you're happy with the price that it's selling for, you just click sell one like this, and it populates all the information for you there. You take a couple pictures of your thing, and you choose your price and how you want to ship it, and you click list it. You can do it all through the eBay app. I'm sure there's tons of tutorials on how to do it, but it's so darn easy. Heck, that could be my first video in my Reselling with Greg series is here's how to list something on eBay, how to sell it, how to package it. It's not as hard as what you think. If you have become a teacher and you're able to do that as a profession, this is going to be exponentially easier because there's no way in heck that I could ever teach and pass all this stuff to become a teacher. Maybe I could, but eBay is just, it's so easy, at least, especially if you really love it. So I think you can do it, Tracy. I think you got this. Find just one item and put it on eBay and list it and see what happens. And once you sell it, once you hear that little cha-ching on your phone, you're going to be doing more of it, I bet you. And what teacher doesn't need more money, right? You guys are undervalued and underpaid, in my opinion. Teachers are the people that are shaping the next generation that I'm so reliant on that I hope save us. So Tracy, thank you for doing what you're doing. Next one comes from Vicky. It says, my son is an early riser too for the same reasons as Clark. Doesn't want to waste the day. Love what you said about your family. Really lovely. All I did was just brag up my mother-in-law. She deserves it. But Early risers, gang. Let's go. I've always been an early bird. Even when I was a kid, I never slept in, man. People have different rhythms, I guess, but Cody and I are up early. We go to bed pretty early too. I wake up with like excitement and I'm ready to do stuff. And I think like that is not to hate on the night owls, but I don't think you can be a morning person and not be excited about life, because when you wake up in the morning and you jump out of bed and you're doing your thing, people that aren't happy typically they don't do that, I don't think. Again, this could be another one of my hot takes. This could be the episode title that I'll forget, but I'll try to remember. It's like if you're like, oh God, I got to get out of bed today. I got to go into my job at the grocery store where people are going to be coughing their COVID juices on me and they're going to be nasty. And then they're going to throw a pie in my face and punch me. And I have to like get run over by a cart. I'm making all this up, but it's like, it's hard to be like, yeah, let's go do this. You're just going to lay in bed and be like, you're going to get on YouTube, watch a bunch of ads because you don't have YouTube Premium. I'm spelling out your whole life right now. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe because I relate to morning people the best. That's how I feel. But that's while I'm sleeping at night, like go to bed at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, the night owls, they're just getting started, baby. They're being their most productive selves between like midnight and 4 a.m. Then they go to bed during the day when the sun comes out and it's hot outside and they're living their best lives. I think you should do whatever works for you. But I love being an early riser. Also, Clay Turtle's son is an early riser. He says, we get up during the work week at 6 and always awake before we check on him. That's his son. When I was in school, we just mostly went to parks. I'm close to your age. I always wondered if it was because my class was told we were the worst class to ever go through my school. When it comes to changes in the world, it just happens. We all remember parents or grandparents saying back in my day, out of all the streaming services I use, Hulu and Discovery Plus the most. There's another vote for Hulu. Yet I still don't have much time to watch. I took a class in school that taught finances. I elected to take it seeing how my parents struggled with their finances. It has helped me throughout the years. I'm glad you still make a pod, even though you don't make much money from it. It's not about that, my friend. It says your pod is my favorite thing you do. That's what it's about, my friend. Glad I can support you on Patreon. As always, thanks for Monday morning listen. Happy to have you here, dude. Yeah, if I did this for money, we wouldn't be doing this. I do this because it's like, this is my journal and I do it for me, but I do it more for you. Like it'd be very easy to just not, right? It's so easy to not. We talk about this sometimes. It's easy just to not even a sentence. It's just easy to not even finish the sentence. It's harder to do. And when you have other people relying on you and holding you accountable, and I know there's people that Monday morning want to listen to this, I can't just not. I can't not. I have to because I can't not. You get what I'm saying. So you guys hold me accountable for this, I think is the most important thing. And in the end, I'm thankful that I have it, like a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned like, oh man, I really debated on whether I was going to do it. But then I thought about the Clay Turtles of the world that are looking at their podcast feed or their YouTube page or whatever. And they're like, well, where's the podcast? Where's it at? What am I going to do today? My life's ruined. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's important. I think this is valuable to someone out there. And that is the most important thing to me. Plus, there's a value for me to have all these because there's going to be someday that I go back and listen to these. Maybe Clark will listen to all these podcasts. If my dad had recorded years of podcasts like this, I would be amazed and thrilled to go back and listen to every single one of those episodes to find out what he was doing when I was 3 years old. 5 years old, 8 years old. What were we doing? What was he talking about? I don't have any of those records. I have nothing. This could be something for him or someone in the future. This is a whole record of a life, essentially. Years of weekly episodes talking about the things that I was up to and into. And we just keep this going. And I don't want to stop for that very reason. We have one more left though. After Clay Turtle comes with Drum with Deej, who says, I'm not one to comment. We're going to have to change that. We're fixing that right now. He says, I just wanted to say thank you for another great podcast. Thank you guys for thanking me. Thank you for thanking me for thanking you for thanking me. He says, I've had 5 podcasts to catch up on as a normal listen on my drive to work, but I've been teaching from home, which is post-COVID positive. We've learned that today. It's not the best when you're trying to teach kids to play the drums. However, I have been catching up while renovating our newly bought home. It's scary though, as though we're now first-time homeowners. I almost feel like I'm finally an adult. Oh man, you get all the joys of home ownership, like paying for it, repairing it, cleaning it, all of that fun stuff, right? It's the American, well, not the American dream. It's the Scottish dream. He says, if you and your family ever make your way back to Scotland and work your way up to the Highlands, my family would be honored to treat you to lunch, as you're all such an important to our family while we watch your videos. I may take you up on that. Mrs. Brickitect is talking about next year making a trip to the Highlands. And she wants to go to Ireland too. So you have to let me know if that's recommended. But we were thinking about like going to, what all were we thinking about doing? Maybe going to Germany or Switzerland, I haven't been to Amsterdam. I haven't been to Denmark. There's a lot of places I haven't been, and they're all on my list. I'd love to go to Paris just to see the Eiffel Tower and have some delicious food. And I don't know, there's a European vacation could be great. If we just go from place to place, let's say we take a couple weeks and then we just go all around. Here's the problem I have, guys. Where should I go in Europe for my Europe vacation? I'm playing with you, Bobby. I hope he's laughing. I'm not making fun of you. I have this problem. Should I go on this epic trip or this epic trip? I'm trying to figure out which one. I'll take you up on the lunch. In fact, why don't I treat you to lunch? You tell me where to go, and then we'll have lunch together, and I'll treat you for being a supporter and listener all these years. That'd be great. Do the Brickitect Greg's World Family World Tour, and we'll meet up with people and have a good time out there. I think that'd be so cool. Also so cool, we made it through another episode. This one's over an hour, so if you were doing something, having lunch, washing dishes, teaching kids how to drum, I don't know what you do. Tell me that'd be a good topic for next week. If you haven't been a commenter and you're deciding to come out of the woodwork now, I know I hit off a lot of stuff here. We talked about the hot takes. That'll be an attractive title for people like, ooh, what's he going to say? Is he going to say chocolate's better than peanut butter? Is he going to say peanut butter's better than chocolate? Is he going to say you should never mix them together? Let me know what your hot take is. Oh, that's a good one. And let me know what you're doing while you're listening to this episode if you made it this far. If I said anything in this episode that you resonated with, if I said anything that you disagree with all your heart, you let me know. And then we'll get into listener feedback next week, and it makes up like the best part of the show. Because I can only talk about buying fuel bottles at bins for so long and all the fun I had at yard sales and how great my mother-in-law is. We got it. Chickens are escape artists, obviously. Fixing fences goes without saying. But what is you up to? And what's your story? That's what I want to find out as we find you in the next episode of Missing Pieces.